All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very good afternoon. So guess what? We're all going to be going live on Facebook really shortly. That's going to be in about 10 seconds.
Okay,
Are we counting now?
straight,
7 seconds.
small.
Tummy in.
Smile and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, my name is Terrence and I'm really excited to be here to welcome you from all over Asia Pacific for this Facebook Live event. To celebrate International Women's Day, today in Singapore, we have invited more than 140 young women and their teachers for an event called DigiGirlz, an event that's run by Microsoft together with some of our most amazing partners. So for the next 45 minutes, we will be broadcasting the DigiGirlz Panel, moderated by Wendy Johnstone, General Manager, Marketing and Operations from Microsoft. Wendy is also our Diversity and Inclusion Champion at Microsoft. So without further ado, Wendy, over to you, please.
Thank you, Terence, and hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be opening this panel with 5 amazing women changing the world. Throughout their careers, these amazing women have demonstrated how science, technology, engineering, and maths can be used to solve global challenges, impacting millions of lives. So please let me start by introducing the panelists to everyone here today. First of all, Hui Ling, who co-founded Grab. She's making transport freedom a reality for more than 60 million people in Southeast Asia.
80 by now.
Sorry, 80 by now. Latest update. Hui Ling studied mechanical engineering in Britain, and she later graduated from Harvard Business School. Welcome.
Thank you.
Supika is Director of Business Transformation at Johnson & Johnson. She helps to transform how we source and deliver healthcare products in Asia. And she studied economics and holds an MBA. Welcome.
Thank you.
Ara is a data analyst at LinkedIn. She helps companies find the right people with the right skills and make smart business decisions using LinkedIn data. Ara studied political science and quantitative research methods. Welcome. And Janice is process technologist, also known as a chemical engineer at Shell. She works in one of the petrochemical plants in Shell, Jurong Island, and she graduated with a double master's degree in chemical engineering and business. Welcome. And finally, Sung Hyung is Industry Solutions Executive at Microsoft. She helps governments in Southeast Asia transform their work through technology, and she graduated with a double degree in social science and business management. Welcome. All right, ladies, so to get started, let me ask you if you could tell the audience how you're making a positive impact and transforming people's lives with STEM. That's a big question. Start here.
Never sit next to Wendy. Okay, so girls and everybody on Facebook, welcome today. Thank you so much for having us. It's a great day. Got a chance earlier today to interact with some of you at Grab for a UX workshop. And I think that's a fantastic representation of what I fortunately get to spend each day doing. So firstly, how many of you use Grab? Okay, for those of you who didn't put your hands up, please come see me and the other. Clearly, we need to change something about our product because we need to serve you better. But Grab, for those of you who haven't tried it, we're the leading technology ride-hailing app in Southeast Asia. We serve more than 86 million people and more than 2.4 million drivers each and every day. And why this is important is not through just technology, but something as important as getting you from A to B every single day. We are helping you save time, earn money, and making your lives just much better. Now, good news is I clearly don't do this on my own. We have an amazing set of grabbers We now have more than 4,000 grabbers throughout the world. So we're in 8 countries in Southeast Asia. And we also have R&D centers in the States, Beijing, and India, beyond our Southeast Asian locations, of which I feel very strongly of trying to encourage more and more women to join us, because we're awesome and we should be shaping our lives more. So think about it, transportation, and we're going to payments, logistics, and also food. If you haven't tried it out, I'm not kidding. Please come see us later.
Thank you.
So first, I want to congratulate you, Ling. I think Grab is a huge success. You'd agree with me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm from a more traditional industry, healthcare, which you can't really go away from. You were born into it, and you're going to probably stay with it. So I work with Johnson & Johnson. I lead the business transformation for APAC in the medical devices segment. What that really means is when there's a patient on the operating theater and we have to deliver a product, what can we do in our processes and in our systems to make his life easier, with more compassion, with more ease? On a different note, you have consumers. So when you and I are actually in the realms of our home and we make an order for a shampoo, how at the back end can we work to actually deliver that to you seamlessly? Have you done that? How many have done e-commerce marketing or sales? Bought stuff on the website? Less. You have pocket money yet. That's why. But that's what I do.
Excellent, thank you.
So today you're here because one day you want to be educated in STEM and find a great job. So what happens when you have a great job that you love and you're good at is that your life gets better. You have money to travel, and every day you come to work smiling. And when you're happy at work and you like the work that you do, that's sort of improving the quality of your life. So at LinkedIn, I'm a data analyst. And imagine on the LinkedIn.com platform, we have 546 million members, 18 million companies, and at any given time, if you log on, there's 11 million jobs open. Now, I don't have time to look through all 11 million jobs, so I use data to help companies find the right people at a much shorter time, thereby making everyone's lives better.
Thank you.
So for myself, I'm currently working in the chemical processing unit, so it's based in Tuas. So what we are producing is the key component that goes into polyester, which I'm sure all of you know is used in your clothes and fabrics today. So as a chemical engineer by training, what I do is I have an in-depth knowledge of the chemical process. So I'm currently working on projects to make these chemicals in the most cost-effective and energy-efficient manner. So this is really rewarding to me because I see that I'm able to contribute to the society by keeping the prices of chemicals and clothes cheap and by minimizing the environmental footprint that it has.
The thing about going last is, wow, all these women, and then what do I do? I'm Sun Hyung. It's nice to see all of you. I work for Microsoft. I'm in the Asia Pacific public sector team. So that means I work with governments, and I help think about how can we transform the way they work, the way they connect with citizens, the way they provide services to us, right? Our ICs, our, everything pretty much. And really, yeah, how do governments interact within their countries and beyond to, in a more transformed way using technology. I support the team that looks at markets like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar. So really, in a way, exotic and in a way really different from the environment that we're used to. So that's really been an eye-opener as well, the range of services and solutions, platforms that Microsoft has. How can all of that really enable and empower different types of markets and governments and markets? So that's been a privilege every day.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. And if you've just joined us on Facebook Live, welcome. We're here at the DigiGirlz 2018 event, celebrating International Women's Day, with 5 incredible change makers who are really changing the world through STEM. Hui Ling, can I just ask you, what was the driver behind going into a STEM-related industry?
Well, so even though I'm in technology right now, I actually started off my younger ages in mechanical engineering. I've spoken to 1 or 2 girls earlier who said they wanted to go into aerospace engineering or electrical engineering. How many of you here want to do that too? Come on, hands up. Girls. Yeah. Yay. Okay, there's 1 or 2 of you who are brave enough to put your hands up. One of my suggestions for you going forward is always put your hands up when you feel like you need to do it. Don't feel shy, right? Why I ended up in STEM was because, honestly, I just like solving problems. My childhood involved me watching my dad doing a lot of fixing stuff at home. When a fan was broken or when he needed to make a shoe rack or something of that sort, I'd just watch him and I would try to help. And so I naturally gravitated to mechanical engineering as an undergrad degree. Tried it out, worked for it in a year, realized it wasn't quite for me, and ended up crazily thinking about this startup called Grab, solving problems, and here I am today. But the core of it was actually reflected in your earlier presentation. It's about solving problems and creating value, because the one thing that frustrates me the most each day is seeing inefficiencies. I get slightly angry when I see it, and the best way to solve that anger is to go solve it and fix it. And that's how I ended up here.
Excellent, thank you. Sifika, same question.
So mine was actually when you were sharing earlier on how there's a myth on what STEM is. And I was really, I think I was victim to that myth. So I did not study engineering, I did not study science, I studied economics and MBA, as you heard. I did a chartered accountancy degree. And all my career has been in sales and marketing until I decided about 2 years ago that the action is happening in STEM. Where is innovation happening? You all have heard, I'm going to bring it back to maybe healthcare for where I belong. You've all have heard of surgeries that are fully robotic, fully automated. I don't know how many of you know that there's actually digital toilets now. So whatever you put in there, the waste, they actually analyze it and they can tell you vitals about your body. So
Scary.
It's scary, right? And that's where the action was. And so for me, I really wanted to be part of this groundbreaking change. I realized that it's not the degree that matters, it's the other skills and it's the passion to innovate. And so 2 years ago, I actually joined the STEM side of things to really be part of the change.
Well, my background is slightly different, and when you hear of women or men who are data scientists, a lot of the times they start out by saying, I was always interested in math and I was, really interested in science, but that was not me. And in fact, I wasn't very good at it. So I never figured that careers in STEM would be a path for me. So what I did instead was go to university and studied political science because I liked reading about current affairs and learning about governments. And after graduating, I went to work at newspapers as an editor because of current affairs. But I realized then that my passion for storytelling is something that I should really pursue. I got a real kick out of telling people compelling stories when you can see the eyes sparkle. And I realized when these stories are backed by numbers and data, instead of just anecdotes, which can be powerful too. So when stories are supported by data, it was really compelling, and I was able to convince a lot of people, and people found the stories to be very valuable. So I figured, okay, I want to be a data journalist. But last time I had taken any math class was in high school. So how do I go about convincing people that I could do this? So I went and studied research methods. So I learned practical data skills in R, and I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty, extracting data, massaging it, and trying to understand it and trying to make sense of it and tell the story using it. And that's what I talked about during my interview process with LinkedIn. And they saw that even though I didn't have relevant experience, I went and got educated, learned practical skills, and created something, a master's thesis. And I was able to talk about it, and they were convinced. And so now every day, I use data to tell stories and also in the process help people find jobs. Yeah.
Okay, so for myself, I think I'm the opposite of Era, right? So when I was in secondary school, I loved math, I loved science. I just couldn't do anything like literature or history. So I just really loved math and science. And I thought engineering was the perfect way for me to blend my interest in these subjects to real-life application. And I've been in Shell for coming to 6 years now. And I really enjoy the work that I do because I see the impact of what I'm doing to people's lives and to the environment. So that's something that's really strong for me.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm the opposite of Janice. I loved literature, I loved history. I actually grew up in a number of countries. So my parents kind of left the country, Korea, when I was 1. So apart from my name, so I grew up in Indonesia, England, and then Singapore. And I think it kind of developed a natural interest for political science, and I wanted to become a diplomat, all of these things, don't they? So I studied political science, but in university I went to SMU, so I think most of you would know. It's a management university, so the biggest faculty in school is business, and somehow through certain programs they asked me to do a double in business, and that's when my eyes kind of opened to this whole, there's a profit-making corporate world out there, and I got into internships and got to learn more about it. And the duality was really what struck me. It was I'd go for one class, and it was, I don't know if you remember, there was this recession in 2008. So we were just coming out, and political science classes would tell you, businesses nowadays, it's all about profit, it's all about money, and roles need to change. Business need to play more than that, more than that kind of a role. And then I'd go to finance class where you're calculating maximize profit. Like, how do I do this the best I can? So this duality kind of got to me, and I thought about how can businesses, first of all, how can I understand the role of businesses in societal and national agendas, and then in some remote future, I'm hoping to be able to craft that. And the way I really got into Microsoft was the role. The role was really a role that helped me support the leadership team in making business decisions, analyzing data for the company, and that's how I got into Microsoft. And therein opened my eyes. I knew nothing about technology, but because I had that specific perspective that I was interested, I joined the company, and then I realized, Microsoft is more than Office and Windows. It helps, it's, and it does, in case some of you are still confused. Really, it provides, platforms. We're looking at AI now, virtual reality, all these things that just was not a part of my world, slowly became, and then you get to understand how cool this is and how much impact, how much possibility it can have. So that's where I'm at.
Sipika, if I can come back to you, how do you think gender diversity in the workplace really brings a different perspective and fosters innovation?
That's an interesting question because it's not so easy to measure tangibly, but there's a lot that's researched on this. But just pure logic, out of 20 to 25 trillion of the global economy is women purchasing. So if women are contributing that much, it just by logic makes sense for women to be part of that innovation process, right? But to make it simpler, maybe, I'll share an example. So I was running a workshop a couple of weeks back. It was actually a leadership workshop. But as a part of that workshop, we had a case study. And the case study was, Johnson & Johnson makes baby shampoos, right? So the case study was, how can we improve sales of baby shampoos? Very, very generic. And we had a group of men and women who came up with brilliant ideas. Some said, you need to change your advertising, you need to go YouTube, which, yes, we know. Or some said, your formulation, it's an organic world now, you have to change your formulation. And then there was this woman who had a really simple but very relevant idea. So she said, I have a 5-year-old like you, and I have a 7-year-old actually. So my 5-year-old will choose the shampoo based on the brightest color. So if you keep everything the same, but you give an option of the brightest color shampoo, your sales will go up. And it's such a simple idea, and it's not that men don't take care of little children, they do. But we're wired, women are wired differently where we pick that up, and we can share that back as an insight. So it's just a very simple, it was normal people who came up with this brilliant idea. And apart from that, of course, there's research that shows that in management positions, women are just more empathetic. They know the strengths and weaknesses of what their fellow team members have. And that whole approach just brings much more holistic view to innovation, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Janice?
Yeah, so I have an example that really describes this. So last year, I was leading in a task. Okay, so the task is actually very manual, very physical, and very labor intensive. So it's usually being done by guys. So the men that were doing it, they were very, very experienced, and they were just very accustomed to how they have been doing it for the last many, many years. So when I was leading in the activity, I was just thinking to myself, how would a woman be able to do it, given that we are less physically inclined? And it was then that I got a team of people to sit together to think about how can we improve this. And ultimately, we were able to use technology and to really improve the productivity of the task. Yeah, so I think women, because we are born in a different way, we have different strengths, it encourages us to think about problems in a different manner.
So I think all the points and examples are really interesting and relevant, and we've probably seen different versions of it each day. But Anthony, my co-founder, and I, we take a very meta, high-level view for this, right? In general, we care about diversity, whether it's gender, whether it's what country you come from, whether it's age. Why it matters is because once you have diverse points of views, you will have different opinions and different ways of solving one problem, right? And when you can have those different ideas coming together and having a good data-driven discussion on what is actually best, that's when you can come up with the best solution. So for us at Grab, of course, as a female co-founder, I care a lot about this topic, but it's beyond that for us as well. It's more around how can we build the best workforce out there that represents every potential idea and opportunity. So we have the fortune of actually having 40 plus nationalities, some Koreans as well, at Grab, and we're looking for more and more ways to bring, just the best people in for any particular job.
You probably see that in the workshops and the little team activities you do, what you bring and what the boys bring, and they must be different, right?
Yeah, everyone has different strengths that they bring to the table, and that's the beauty of diversity, yeah. So, Sun Hyung, could you tell us about someone who really inspired and encouraged you to move into STEM?
I really have way too many that I want to share, but the particular one being, so my first manager in my first real job, which wasn't too long ago, so I'm sure you can relate. I came in, like I mentioned, with hardly any relevant knowledge, any relevant experience. I had done political science and business. I'm in a tech company. What do I know? And I was in all these meetings with people who had started working when I was born. And really my mind is thinking, what can I bring to this table? What on earth am I going to say, I'm going to do for this project, for this team, for this company? And my first manager, I think, really had, thought it through. She knew what she was getting into. It's not like she hired me and thought, I'm going to get 10 years of experience out of her from a tech perspective. She really put me together with mentors. And mentors were a new concept to me. And I don't know how many of you have that sort of thinking. But you have friends who give you advice, and you have teachers who give you advice, parents who give you advice, and all of them play different roles. But mentors to me were really domain, subject matter experts who are just, experts in that area, who are open and willing enough to spend time with you to really teach them the best of what you have. And it was an encouragement. Definitely mentors aren't unique to STEM, no way. But because I was in a technology company where, and I quote our CEO here, where innovation is valued over tradition or the past experiences where we've done things, because we were in an environment where we're really looking at new ideas, how can we build on top of each other, like many of you have said, build on top of each other and come up with new ideas. That openness to share, value my thoughts, and bringing things together to create something new. I think the opportunity to do that, which was given by my first manager, and then the mentor she had linked me up with. I think that whole ecosystem was something that continues to inspire me, every day.
Thank you. Ara?
Yeah, so because as I was saying before, I didn't have relevant experience, and it was initially really hard trying to find a job or a company that would believe that this isn't just a passing interest to me, that I can do the job. So I actually reached out on LinkedIn and through friends of friends of friends, do you know any women in tech? And actually, 2 women in tech at Microsoft, actually, Michelle Simmons and Grace Carrison, they're now One's the general manager of Southeast Asia, APAC operations, and a managing director. These are really senior leaders who have a lot of responsibilities. And for a relative stranger, they agreed to meet with me, listen to my story, think about what it is that I wanted to do and provide value with. And they opened doors for me. I got interviews after that, and they passed around my resume. So that just reminded me that even if you've made it, you continue to help others, and that really inspired me, and I want to continue. I want to do the same. So if you guys have any questions, sign up on LinkedIn and send me an email. I will respond.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, and so just a final question for all of you on the panel today. I think we know that many of the jobs of tomorrow don't exist today. And so if there was one piece of advice that you could leave all our audience online today and all of the audience in the room today for the future. So how can everyone prepare themselves for the future? What would that be? And I think I'll start at that end.
This time it's going first is harder. Mine is, and I've thought a lot about this beyond and this conversation. And it's really originality. I think no one can take your combination of experiences, strengths, interests, and passions away from you, no matter how the world changes. So as you go on and do projects, do CIP, we all do CIP, right? CIP, CCAs, even school projects, when you work with friends, play with friends, do we reflect on, hey, that made me a little bit more excited. That was tiring, but I loved it. Those moments, capture it and just keep them close to you and just keep developing it, because I think that combination is really unique, regardless of what happens in terms of how the world changes or jobs change.
So my advice would be not to conform to stereotypes and not to accept what people think is norm, because there's no such thing as a norm, right? Always be innovative and think of how you can improve the world.
So if you look at all the jobs in engineer, you'll realize everyone has like a gazillion skills. Python, Java, CC, and it's really easy to feel paralyzed and overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, when am I gonna learn all of these things? Don't be paralyzed by fear. I use a lot of SQL at my current job, but 2 years ago, I didn't know how to write a single line of code. But I learned on the job. So just pick one, make something with it, and then move on to the next one. That's my advice.
So, like Wendy said, even if you train for a vocational skill, you probably don't know if it's going to exist. So I'm not going to give you advice on vocational skills. I think maybe in general, digital awareness, yes, because we are moving in that direction. But I would say a little bit of combination of all this, it's really the attitude. Be open, be fearless. Move out of your comfort zone. If you don't know SQL, which I don't know, by the way, but if you don't know SQL, go for it. It's easy to learn. It's the attitude that counts. And if you stretch yourself, that's your path to success. That's what I would say.
I actually want to triple down on the same point because it's so important. More often than not, what I find is that the only thing that will hold you back in your life is yourself. Remember that. So when you feel challenged, when you feel that you can't do something, say, hey, change that mindset. I'm going to do that. When someone asks you to volunteer for something that you care about, put your hands up, right? Don't be afraid to show yourself. Because when you do that, life is going to be super, super uninteresting and extremely scary, right? One last thing related to the mentorship comment earlier. If you're passionate about any crazy idea, whether it exists or whether it doesn't, find other people who share your passion. They don't need to be females. They could be your brother, in my case, a random schoolmate, or a mentor. As long as they trust you and respect you for who you are, and likewise you do for them as well, you'll be able to find creative, crazy ways to solve a problem that you care about.
And I'm going to build on that even further with 2 words. Be brave.
Yep.
Be brave. And so I want to thank our panelists for joining us this afternoon. It's been wonderful to hear your stories, ladies. I want to thank everyone on Facebook Live who has joined us. And please join me in thanking our panelists, and then I think we have some time to open up for some questions from the audience. Okay. We have some microphones in the room.
Girls, I said,
Be
put your
brave.
hands up. Who wants to go first? You'll be remembered.
Be brave, come on.
Yes?
Hi. Obviously, you guys seem really passionate and just so happy in the fields you're working at and where you guys are at now. So, what steps or what milestones are you guys looking forward to achieve in the future in the fields that you are working in, and what change do you hope to see?
I can go first. So I think one of the things I learned a little later than earlier on is that it's good to be ambitious. You don't always define milestones. So for me, tomorrow is about a new way of learning. Anything that gives me a challenge that increases what I already have in terms of skill set is a good one. And then the path kind of opens up itself. You might open Grab if you are. You might change from sales and marketing to STEM. I mean, you don't know where your life goes. But for sure, when I studied economics or did my MBA, I didn't think I would land up here. So it's not so much of planning. It's really letting go and being open and trying new things as long as you're learning. That would be my response.
I absolutely agree with that. So I was thinking where I want to go next, and I realized there's so many new ways of telling a story, and I want to create a beautiful infographic that makes people feel like, wow, that is so informative. I can learn so much, and it's beautiful. I want to hang it up on my wall. So that's my goal. I don't think there's a job title for it, but yep.
Not yet.
Create it.
We can create it today. Deal.
Okay.
Sorry, LinkedIn.
Yeah, so for me, it's not so much also about milestones. It's about continuously improving every single day. Just be another better version of yourself tomorrow and another better version the day after. Yeah.
I don't know whether it's too much agreement, but it's really very similar. So an example for me is if I had started off wanting to know that I want to do some kind of a social good, that was the general direction, like this wide, and then you start narrowing it down to, oh, it's actually businesses as an institution play a specific role in doing good versus like NGOs or governments. So then it narrows down a little bit more. And within that business, you find your path and you just keep narrowing it to what you really want to do and you feel passionate about. I think that's when you have that kind of a direction. It's not about the next role or the next role, but what you could be doing.
Similar, slightly different. Strongly believe in continuous improvement, and also strongly believe in never having regrets. So even though you set milestones for yourself, always know that there's something new that you're going to learn each day that's going to change what decision you should be making. So if you're passionate about something, if you want to be, let's say, an astronaut, if you want to be a data scientist, it's okay to go after that passion, like with gung-ho passion, but to also know that at some point in time, if it's not the right thing to do anymore, change your mind, change your decision, and take a different path. Because that's what this world is about. It's not about one particular journey, one particular direction. It's about enjoying that path of randomly turning left and right, meeting new people, and having fun along the way. What's your name, by the way? Anjali, thank you for the first question. You're remembered.
Yeah. All right, we have another question over there.
Hello, I'm Su Yin. Nice to meet you all. My question is, it takes about 9 months to gestate a baby. What sort of project are you gestating that we'll see in about 9 months' time?
That's a great question.
So part of what I do is, in addition to helping companies, because LinkedIn has such a rich set of data, we can create reports that capture trends happening across the world. And we can learn really interesting things. And that doesn't just benefit one company or one person. It's good for everyone who's interested in economic flow. So there's one that's coming around on the topic of human resources and analytics capability. May not be interesting to you yet, but yep, that's happening.
Okay, so actually that's a very interesting question for us. So what I'm doing right now, apart from what I talked about in terms of transformation, is really reaching customers in the sense of we have hospitals as our customers, to ask them what extra can J&J do for you. So it's really devising something beyond a HIP or a pharma product or anything, but a service or a solution where J&J talks to NUH, for example, and says, how can we reach a partnership? That's under gestation. Hopefully when we meet 9 months later, we'll have something for you.
So I feel as if I get a very unique position in Grab where we're trying out many new things at one point in time, right? And what we like to believe is the concept of testing and iterating. So you test an idea, you try it out, and based on the data and responses, you decide on whether to continue investing into it more or actually deciding to uninvest in it and reallocating your resources somewhere else. So in terms of what you should already be seeing and of which are big bets for us to help make your lives easier, GrabPay, your QR codes in your restaurants, your hongbao that we've hopefully been sending to friends over Chinese New Year, deliveries outside of Singapore, and food products as well. Those are big areas that we're investing into based on our prior test. There are the smaller ones that are babies right now, which unfortunately I cannot share. But keep a lookout on it and let us know if you have new ideas.
Okay. And I think we've got time for one more question. Yeah, I think. Maybe two more questions quickly. Yes.
Hi, I'm Diana. Thank you for sharing your experience with us today. So I have a question. Where and how did you gain the skills and experience that you started off in this, when you started off in the STEM area?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, where and how?
Where and how did you gain the skills and experience in the STEM area?
Okay, maybe I can start off first. So for myself, it's quite straightforward. I'm a practicing chemical engineer, so I do learn a bit of skills, and I would say it's really only a bit that you learn in the school, right? And a lot of it is actually learned along the way, and in Shell, we are given a lot of mentorship, and our line managers are very open to teaching you and grooming you to become who you want to be. Yeah, so that's where bulk of the learning happens for me.
I went to graduate school in New York just because I really wanted to live in New York City once in my life. That said, if I didn't have that desire, I could have learned a lot of what I learned during school online. There's so many resources out there. You can start there.
So I kind of have a little bit different perspective because, my background's not in STEM. But really the skills to, I think, Wendy, the point she made as well, the problem solving and the analytical and the critical thinking, these are the skills that you develop. The STEM capabilities are enablers. So yes, you use technology, you use an engineering competency or a maths competency to solve the problem, but there has to be a problem and an idea that you're trying to solve, and then you have a team. So it's not, we don't work alone. Even if I don't know any coding, I know that I have a team I can rely on as long as we have the same mission or the same vision that we're working towards.
All right, and I'm just going to, we have one more question over here, so.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm from CARE Singapore, and I'd like to ask, were there a significant moment in your life that made you who you are today?
Wow. These are tough questions.
Love these questions.
I feel as if I'm about to start a half-an-hour conversation. Ladies, please go first.
Mine were definitely a series, so it's really the putting together of my experience in different countries, meeting different types of people, studying various subjects. It's really the combination of that, I think, that has made me who I am. One single moment, unfortunately, I'll leave it to the ladies to tell you.
So it's a bit more broad, but I actually was a financial consultant. I'm a chartered accountant. And then when I went to do my MBA, there was a ton of opportunities because that's what happens after school. Whatever degree you pursue, you get some opportunities and you have to assess what it is that makes a difference and how you want to approach that. And healthcare for me, being in healthcare and being really tangibly making a difference to people's lives was what drew me to healthcare. So I had options in banks and other places, but my first offer was from a healthcare company, and the fact that I could really be very, very close to changing people's lives drove me to that part. And then within healthcare, there was a series again.
I think just by virtue of all the experiences that have already been shared, I think it's very obvious from the ladies here that no one particular incident shapes us. We, even yourselves right now, I know you may think you're young, maybe not. You have many, many experiences that you have accumulated that I'm pretty sure define who you are today. Whether it defines who you are tomorrow or not, that's up to you. My only recommendation for this is to continue picking up new experiences, new skills, live life, enjoy the journey, and be happy with who you are at each point in time. That's the only thing that matters. Forget about what's that one moment, what's that 2 moments, and whatnot, because you're going to have continued moments every single day.
And you'll never have all the answers. So that's the most important thing to remember. When you approach something, you're never going to have all the answers. You have to go in with a gut feel and then just make it happen.
What a wonderful way to finish our panel discussion this afternoon. Thank you to everyone again online. Thank you for the wonderful questions from the audience and the audience participation. And a huge thank you again to our panelists. Really inspiring stories.
Right, thank you, Wendy, and of course to the amazing panel. What an amazing audience we have today. All right, and of course to our friends on Facebook who have been streaming in, thank you very much for your reactions and comments. So right now, before we close the session, I'd like to share a really interesting update for all of you that's based in Singapore, Thailand, New Zealand, and Malaysia. So from right now until the 23rd of March, you'll stand a chance to win a Surface laptop. Yes, it's a Microsoft Surface laptop. All right, and what you need to do is to take part in our Facebook contest. So this is what you need to do, right? So first of all, you need to like our contest post on the Microsoft Facebook page and share the story of a woman. So it can be a story of any woman. It could be a friend, it could be even your mother, or a celebrity, someone who inspires you, all right, to make what's next. So we can't wait to really look forward to all your exciting stories to share with us in the next 2 weeks. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, and happy Women's Day.